1 month after Christmas, the house was quiet. Too quiet. I had just unplugged the last string of lights from the small tree in my living room when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. "Mrs. Ellington?" A woman's voice. Tight, unsteady. "This is Madeline Cross. I photographed your Christmas gathering." I froze. My hand hovered over the ornament box on the table. "Yes, I remember. I'm sorry to call you like this," she whispered, "but I noticed something terrible in your Christmas photos. I need you to come to my studio today, and please don't tell your family you're meeting me." The room shifted, the air thinned. "What exactly did you find?" My voice stayed steady, even though my fingers tightened around my phone. "I can't explain over the phone," she said. "You need to see it yourself." I walked to the window. Cold Charleston morning, frost on the glass, a day that should have felt normal. It didn't. "You sound frightened," I said quietly. "Mrs. Ellington? Once you see the photos, you will be too." A beat of silence, long enough for something old in my chest to wake up. "Send me your address." "I already did. Please come alone." When the call ended, I lowered the phone slowly. The tree lights behind me flickered once, then died. Probably a loose wire. Still, the timing made something tighten under my ribs. I looked at the framed Christmas portrait on the wall. My daughters stood on either side. Natalie on the left, polished smile, hand resting on her husband's shoulder like she owned the photo. Clara on the right, leaning against Ethan, her smile wide but empty. My grandson sat in front, holding the red envelope he'd made for me. I hadn't opened it yet. Too many arguments in the house that day. Too many demands. Their faces stared back at me now. All posed, all perfect, and all wrong. I just hadn't known how wrong. Upstairs, a floorboard creaked. Clara and Ethan. They never woke this early. If they heard me leave, they'd ask questions. Questions I didn't want to answer. Not until I knew what Madeline had seen. I reached for my coat, slid my arms into the sleeves, and grabbed my keys. The cold metal clinked, a small, sharp sound in the still house. I hesitated at the doorway, listening. Nothing. Good. I opened the door slowly. The hinges groaned, soft but noticeable. I stepped outside, pulled the door shut, and waited for the click of the lock. Solid. Final. The morning air cut straight through my scarf. Frost covered the porch rail. I exhaled, watching the breath drift upward like smoke. Something terrible. That was the exact phrase she used. Not strange, not concerning. Terrible. A woman like Madeline didn't exaggerate. She was steady at the Christmas party, quiet and professional. She moved with purpose. For her to sound like that now, something was wrong. Very wrong. I walked down the steps, each one slow, my boots hitting cold wood with sharp taps. At the bottom, I paused and looked back at the house. Light glowed faintly through the curtains. Peaceful from the outside, chaotic inside. Claire had been begging me for money every week. Ethan had been lying on my couch for months. Natalie showed up only when she needed something. All of them, polite when I said yes, cold when I didn't. A month ago, on Christmas night, something in the house had felt off. The kind of off you can't name. I'd brushed it aside. Family gatherings always carried tension. But now, hearing Madeline's voice, shaking, urgent, it clicked into place. Whatever she saw wasn't small. I opened my car door, slid in, and shut it quietly. The seat was cold. I turned on the engine. My phone buzzed. A message from Madeline. Studio address. Downtown Charleston. Come now. Another line. Please trust me. Trust. A word I'd given too easily in the past. I backed out of the driveway, watching the house shrink in my rearview mirror. The porch light flickered once, then steadied. I didn't look back again. As I turned onto the main road, I spoke out loud to no one. "All right, let's see the truth." When I returned from Madeline's studio address, still unopened on my phone, the house was awake. The noise hit me before I stepped inside. Clara's voice, high, sharp, Ethan's laughter blasting from the living room like he didn't have a care in the world. I opened the door quietly. They didn't notice. "Mother!" Clara came down the stairs, phone in hand. "I need to talk to you. It's important." I hung my coat on the hook. "Make it quick." She followed me into the kitchen. "It's about the car. Mine's old. It shakes on the highway. I've been patient. I need a new one." "You need a job." Clara blinked. Twice. She always blinked when she didn't like my answer. "Mother, I can't live like this anymore." "Then start earning," I replied. Her mouth opened, then closed. She stared at me the way a child stares at a locked door, expecting it to open anyway. Ethan called from the couch, laughing at something on TV. "Nora, you see this? Come watch this clip." He didn't turn down the volume, didn't look at me, didn't stop slurping his soda. I stepped into the living room. "Turn the TV down." Ethan didn't move. "It's funny. You'll like it." I said turn it down. He sighed dramatically, grabbed the remote, and lowered it 1 bar. 1. "That enough?" "No, more." He stared at me like the request was unreasonable, then lowered it again. Clara stood behind me. "Mother, we were talking." "No, you were demanding." Clara crossed her arms. "You're colder every year." "Or clearer," I said. She exhaled loudly. "Do you want me to end up like Natalie, begging strangers for help? I'm your daughter." "And being my daughter doesn't entitle you to treat my home like a bank lobby," I said. The room went silent, except for the faint noise of the TV. Ethan adjusted his seat but didn't say anything. Clara sat at the edge of the armchair, rubbing her forehead like she was the one being mistreated. "Mother," she said slowly, "I need stability. We need stability. You've had stability, 4 years of it, under my roof, without paying $1. That's not fair. It's accurate." Clara's eyes filled with frustration, not sadness, not regret, just the anger of someone hearing no for the first time. "You know," she said, voice trembling, "Natalie says you're pushing us away on purpose." "I'm reminding you of boundaries," I said. Ethan let out a half laugh. "Boundaries. Right. We get it. You're in one of your moods." I turned to him. "This isn't a mood. It's a line." He finally looked uncomfortable. "Good." I moved to the small table near the window, picked up the silver teacup I'd left from last night, still cold. I poured the contents down the sink and washed it. The water running was the only steady sound in the room. Behind me, Clara spoke again. "Mother, can we just talk like adults?" "We are." "No," she said, voice cracking. "You're being impossible." I dried my hands, looked her straight in the eyes. "No, I'm being honest." She swallowed hard. "I don't know what happened to you." "You do. You just don't like it." Ethan grabbed the remote again, restless. "This house is depressing when you get like this." "This house," I said calmly, "is still mine." He didn't respond. Clara took a shaky breath. "So you're not helping with the car?" "No." "You're not helping with anything." "I'm helping. By stopping what shouldn't continue." She stared at me, speechless. For once. I walked past her, past Ethan, past the flickering TV, and stood by the small Christmas tree still half undecorated. The lights blinked weakly, as if even they were tired. This wasn't a home anymore. It was noise, expectation, entitlement wrapped in polite tones and forced smiles. I reached for an ornament, boxed it carefully, and spoke without turning around. "I don't owe you comfort." Behind me, neither of them replied. Natalie showed up that afternoon without calling. She never called first. She preferred arriving unannounced. Easier to control the tone that way. I heard her Mercedes door close, quick heels on the walkway, then a firm knock. 3 taps. Confident. Practiced. I opened the door. "Mother," she said warmly, kissing the air beside my cheek. "I was nearby." "Natalie, come in." She stepped inside like she owned the space. Coat perfect, hair perfect, smile perfect. She looked around the living room, eyes moving over the decorations still half taken down. "It looks festive," she said. It was. I replied. She sat on the couch without waiting to be invited, crossed her legs, smoothed her skirt, a performance she'd perfected over the years. I won't take much of your time, she started. Samuel and I found a house. It's beautiful, Mother. 4 bedrooms near the river, great schools for Liam. It's exactly what we've been praying for. Congratulations, she nodded, pleased, as if I'd passed an easy test. We just need help with the down payment, $40,000. Her voice didn't change, calm, soft, sweetened for effect. I stood near the armchair watching her. $40,000. It's not much, she said quickly. We'll pay you back. When? She blinked at the question, surprised I'd asked it. Soon. You know we're responsible. We're good for it. No, I don't know that. A tiny crack appeared behind her eyes. She fixed it instantly with a light laugh. Mother, please. You know Samuel and I handle our finances carefully. Then you don't need $40,000. The smile tightened, subtle but visible. Natalie was good at hiding irritation, but not from me. Not anymore. Look, she said, leaning forward, elbows on her knees. This isn't just about us. Liam needs stability. We're trying to build a home, a future, for your grandson. I know who he is, and I'll always care for him. Then help us, she said softer. Please. I didn't sit. You have 2 incomes. You live in a nice apartment. Why can't you afford your own down payment? Natalie inhaled, slow and controlled. The wedding was expensive. You know that. You insisted on the upgrades. Because it was important, she snapped before catching herself. We looked at each other for a moment. Her face softened again. Mother, she said, voice lowering, I'm not asking for a gift, just support. A short-term loan between family. Between family? I repeated. Yes. You want to borrow money, I said. But when was the last time you asked how I was? Her jaw tightened. This isn't about that. It should be. Natalie leaned back. Okay, what's going on? You're acting strange. I'm not. I'm thinking clearly. That's not how it feels. That's because you're not used to hearing no. Her mouth parted in disbelief. Excuse me? I said no to the loan. She stared at me, stunned. Then her voice dropped into the tone she used in boardrooms, the tone meant to intimidate. Mother, don't you trust me? Trust. A loaded word, used carefully, used strategically. I met her eyes. Trust isn't a loan. Silence. Heavy. Long. Natalie broke it with a small, humorless laugh. Unbelievable. Truly. After everything I do for you. You visit when you need something, I said. You call when you want money. You bring Liam over when you want a break. That's not fair, she said sharply. It's accurate. A flush rose on her cheeks. Anger, pride, exposure. So this is who you are now, she said. Cold, difficult, suspicious. No, I replied. Just done. Natalie stood abruptly. Fine. I'll talk to Samuel. But don't expect us to keep pretending everything is normal. I never asked you to pretend. She grabbed her purse. We'll figure it out ourselves. That's what adults do. Her eyes narrowed. You're making a mistake, she hissed. I opened the door for her. No, I said quietly. I'm correcting one. She walked out, heels striking the porch like accusations. She didn't look back. I closed the door, heard the lock click, and let the silence settle. For the first time in years, silence felt right. I drove to Madeline's studio that afternoon, downtown Charleston, narrow street, old buildings, winter light fading fast. Her address was on a small metal sign beside a brick doorway. I parked across the street, turned off the engine, and sat still for a moment. Something terrible. Her words had followed me the entire drive. I stepped out, crossed the street, and rang the bell. The door opened immediately. Nora, Madeline said, voice low, come in. Her studio was small, clean, and cold. Photography prints lined the walls, families, weddings, portraits, all tidy, all bright. None matched her expression. She locked the door behind me. Thank you for coming. I'm here, I replied. Show me what you found. Madeline swallowed, brushing her hair behind her ear with a shaky hand. I need you to understand something. I didn't go looking for this. I wasn't digging. It happened by accident. Just show me. She led me into a smaller room in the back. One desk, one large monitor, a computer tower humming underneath. The air smelled like printer ink and cold coffee. Sit if you want. I'm fine. She nodded and took her seat. Her hands hovered over the keyboard for a second before she clicked open a folder labeled Ellington Christmas. The screen filled with thumbnails, dozens of images from that night. Laughing grandchildren, table settings, my daughter standing near the mantel, Darren at the bar pouring wine. The usual. Madeline clicked one photo, group shot in the living room. Natalie's smile too wide, Clara's smile too tight. Darren's grin practiced and stiff. I was editing these last night, she said, and something kept bothering me. I didn't know why. Then I zoomed in. She enlarged the background, reflections on the balcony door. At first I didn't understand what I was looking at. Just tiny shapes, light, shadows. Then she sharpened the image. A woman, red hair, pressed close to Darren, her hand on his arm, wedding ring visible. My breath didn't change. My voice didn't break. But something inside me steadied in a way I didn't expect. When was this? I asked. Christmas Eve, before dinner. I checked the metadata. Look here. She pulled up a panel on the right side of the screen, a neat list of numbers and codes. Timestamp, December 24th, 5:42 p.m. Exact GPS location, your backyard. This is the photo you posted earlier that night. It was taken minutes before your family walked inside. I studied the image. The woman leaned in too comfortably. Darren didn't look surprised. He looked familiar with her. Too familiar. Show me the next one. Madeline clicked forward. Another image from a different angle. Red hair catching the balcony light. Darren's hand on the small of her back. Another click. Her fingers grazing his collar. Another click. Their faces almost touching. My voice stayed level. Who took these? I did. The reflection caught them. I didn't notice until I zoomed in. Are they clear enough to confirm identity? Yes, she said quietly. They are. She opened a folder labeled Raw, Balcony. Full resolution files loaded on screen. No blurring, no doubt. It was Darren in every shot. Do you recognize the woman? Madeline asked. No. Something in her expression shifted. There's more. She opened a new window. More photos, this time from inside the hallway, taken later that night. Darren handing the same red-haired woman a drink, her laughing softly, his hand brushing her waist. These weren't meant to be part of the family set, Madeline said. I took them while testing my lighting. I didn't think they mattered. Do you have all the metadata for these? Yes. I made copies, full documentation, time, date, coordinates. It's airtight. I nodded slowly. Good. Madeline hesitated. Nora, I thought you should know. He wasn't acting like a man making a mistake. He was acting like a man comfortable with a routine. I looked at the screen again. There was no guilt in Darren's face. No panic, no hesitation. Just entitlement. Thank you for showing me. She reached into a drawer, pulled out a flash drive, and held it out. Everything's on here. The photos, metadata, notes. I organized the files in case you need them. I took the flash drive with a steady hand. Nora, she added, voice softer, I don't know your family, but no one deserves to be kept in the dark like this. I slipped the drive into my coat pocket. You did the right thing, she exhaled, relieved. I wasn't sure if I should call. You should have. You did. I stepped back from the desk. One question. Yes? How long have you known something was wrong? Madeline looked down at her hands. Since the moment I zoomed in. I didn't sleep last night. She met my gaze again. I'm sorry. Don't be. You didn't cause this. I walked toward the door. She followed me. If you need anything, she said quietly, or if you want me to help you document more, I'm here. I'll remember that. She unlocked the front door. Cold air rushed in. I stepped outside and looked back once. Madeline stood in the doorway, worry written all over her face. I nodded to let her know I understood the weight of what she'd given me. Then I walked to my car. The truth was mine now. I drove home with the flash drive in my coat pocket. Cold metal, heavy truth. The kind of truth that didn't whisper. It carved. Darren kissing another woman 2 hours before the ceremony. A woman wearing a wedding ring. And Natalie asking me for $40,000 like it was a grocery list. My house looked the same when I pulled in. Quiet. Still. Nothing unusual. But everything felt different. Inside, Clara was at the dining table scrolling her phone. "Mom, you look pale. You okay?" "I'm fine," I said. "Where's Liam?" "Napping in the guest room." Good. I didn't want him anywhere near what was about to come out of my mind. I went straight to my office, closed the door, sat down. I connected the flash drive. The images filled the screen again. Darren's face, the red-haired woman's hand on his chest, her wedding ring, his confidence. I watched them without blinking. Not to confirm anything. There was nothing left to confirm. I watched to make myself accept it. The marriage my daughter bragged about was a lie, a setup, a transaction. I opened my notebook. I wrote one line. Truth stays. People pretending don't. Then I turned to a clean page and wrote another line across the top. Ledger of lies. I listed it all. Wedding cost. Cash gifts instead of registry. Darren pocketing envelopes. Natalie's pressure. Clara's dependency. Ethan's entitlement. The Christmas photos. The $40,000 request. Every demand. Every pattern. Each line cut deeper than the last. But I kept writing. I wanted everything on the table because facts didn't lie. Facts didn't pretend. Facts were clean. A soft knock interrupted me. "Mom?" Clara's voice. "Can I come in?" I opened the door. She stepped inside, holding a mug of tea. "You didn't eat lunch," she said. "Thought you might want something warm." I took it. "Thank you." She sat on the edge of a chair, her face small, unsure, a child in a woman's body. "Mom, if something's wrong, you can tell me." I looked at her, really looked. Clara wasn't cruel. She wasn't calculated like Natalie. She was lost, dependent, scared of living without a safety net, and I had let her treat my house like one. "Clara, how much money have you and Ethan asked me for since last year?" She blinked. I don't know. A few things. Bills, groceries, Liam's school fees. Just normal family help." "Normal," I repeated. She nodded quickly. Too quickly. "Do you remember how many times you've said, 'just this once'?" She opened her mouth, closed it. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I know we've leaned on you a lot, but Ethan's been struggling and you decided I would carry everything," I finished. Tears welled. "Mom, I didn't mean to take advantage. I thought we were family." "We are, but family isn't a credit line." She wiped her eyes. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying things need to change." Fear flickered across her face. Are you kicking us out?" "No," I said. "Not today. Not like that." Truth came first, consequences after. She let out a shaky breath. Then talk to me. Then talk to... Please." I looked at her gently. "Clara, if I tell you the truth, will you hear it? Or will you run to Natalie like you always do?" Her lips parted. "I won't run. I promise." The promise of a daughter who meant well, but didn't know how to stand on her own feet. I didn't show her the photos. Not yet. Clara wasn't ready for that kind of blow. Instead, I said, "Your sister came today." Her eyebrows lifted. "Natalie? Why?" "She wants a $40,000 loan." Clara's face tightened, not in shock, but in recognition. "Oh," she whispered. "That house. You knew?" She hesitated. "I heard her talking about it. She said she deserved a better place. She said you'd help." "Not help," I corrected. "She said I'd pay." Clara lowered her eyes. "Yeah, that sounds like her." I studied her. "Clara, do you want to know the truth about your sister's marriage?" She looked up, frightened. "What truth?" I paused. "Tomorrow. Come to my office after breakfast. I'll tell you then." "Why not now?" "Because tonight I need the house quiet." Clara nodded slowly. "Okay. Mom?" "Yes?" "I'll do better," she whispered. "I just don't want to lose you." I touched her shoulder. "You won't, unless you choose to." She swallowed hard and left the room. The door clicked shut. Back at my desk, I printed the photos. 8 shots, clean, sharp, time-stamped. I slid them into a red envelope, the same color as the Christmas ribbon Natalie used on her gifts. Another entry went into the ledger. "The truth isn't cruel. Cruelty is expecting someone to live blind." My phone buzzed. Natalie again. "Mother, did you think about the house? We really need that loan." I typed 2 words. "I'm thinking." It wasn't a lie. I was thinking more clearly than I had in years. I placed the red envelope beside the notebook. Tomorrow, the truth would start its work. The house was quiet the next morning. Too quiet for a home with adults living rent-free. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table. The red envelope lay beside my cup like a truth waiting for air. I heard footsteps upstairs. Clara, Ethan. Low voices. Then Natalie's ringtone. Clara always kept her volume too loud. I didn't move. I just listened. "Nat, I don't know," Clara whispered. "Mom's different." A pause. Natalie's voice came through the speaker, sharp as glass. "She's not different. She's emotional. Keep her calm. Just 2 more weeks. Then she'll sign whatever we need." My hand tightened around the mug. Clara whispered, "She said she'd talk to me today." "And you'll tell me everything," Natalie said. "We need to know how close she is to selling." Silence. Then Clara's voice cracked. "Nat, what if she doesn't want to?" Natalie scoffed. "Clara, please. She always gives in. Just do your part." "Do your part. Use your mother. Drain her. Then abandon her." I stood slowly so the chair wouldn't creak. Clara lowered her voice. "Natalie, I don't feel good about this." "Feelings don't pay for houses," Natalie snapped. "Now do what I said." I stepped into the hallway. Clara froze at the top of the stairs, phone in her hand. She hadn't realized I was there. "Natalie," I said, loud enough for the phone to pick up, "you don't need to call again." Silence on the line. Then a soft click. She hung up. Clara's face drained. "Mom, this isn't—" "Come downstairs," I said. My voice was steady. Too steady. She came down slowly, like each step was heavier than the last. Ethan appeared behind her, pretending he hadn't heard a thing. I sat at the table, placed the red envelope between us. "Sit." Clara sat, hands shaking. "Is this your plan?" I asked quietly. "Keep me calm? Keep me paying? For a house you have no right to expect?" Her eyes filled. "Mom, I didn't mean—" "Natalie pushed me. She said—" "She said what?" I asked. "That I'm weak? Blind? Predictable?" Clara opened her mouth, closed it. I leaned back. "Clara, listen to me. You're not evil. But you've let your sister use you. And together, both of you have been using me." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix lies," I said. "And lies are exactly what this—" I tapped the envelope. "Is about." Ethan cleared his throat. "Mrs. Ellington, maybe we should calm down." I turned my eyes to him. He shut his mouth instantly. "Clara, open it." Her hands trembled as she slid the photos out. 8 images. Darren, the red-haired woman, the timestamps. Clara gasped, covered her mouth. "Oh my God! Mom, this is Natalie's husband." "Yes," I said. "On Christmas Eve, 2 hours before the dinner." She flipped through them frantically, like the next photo might magically change the truth. How long has she known? Clara whispered. I don't know. But I know this. She didn't tell me. She didn't protect her own son from a man who lies for a living. She didn't protect this family. Clara looked up at me, devastated. Mom, what do we do? We? I repeated. No, Clara. I will take care of this. She swallowed. Are you angry with me? I'm disappointed, because you know right from wrong, and you let wrong win. Clara broke, shoulders shaking. I don't want to be like Natalie, I really don't. Good, then start acting like your own person. She nodded over and over. I will, I promise. I picked up the envelope. This goes back to the one who created this mess. Clara wiped her eyes. You're going to confront her? No, I said, not yet. I stood. When I confront her, there won't be any room left for excuses. Clara's voice was small. Mom, what happens now? I looked at her gently. Now? Now I stop waiting for them to change. And with that, the last layer of denial slipped away. I drove to Martin Hale's office before I lost the clarity the night had carved into me. Charleston was gray, cold, the kind of morning where truth feels heavier. His building was quiet. 3rd floor, frosted glass door, Hale and Wexler, real estate and trust law. I knocked once. He opened the door himself. Mrs. Ellington? Yes. Come in. His office looked exactly like the man himself. Organized, precise, neutral, no wasted space, no wasted words. He gestured to the chair. Tell me what's happening. I didn't sigh, didn't pause. I placed the red envelope on his desk. My son-in-law is having an affair. My daughters are trying to control my home and finances. They're working together. He flipped open the envelope, looked at the photos without changing expression. Metadata? Multiple. Verified. Good. Then he looked up. And what do you want, Mrs. Ellington? I want my house back. My life back. And I want to protect what I've built from people who treat me like a walking checkbook. Martin didn't react. Instead, he asked the question only a real lawyer asks. When did the disrespect become normal? I answered without emotion. 4 years ago. Then it ends today, he said. He pulled a yellow legal pad toward him. Your daughters, they live with you? Clara does, with her husband. No rent, no contribution, no intent to leave. And Natalie? Manipulates from a distance. He wrote quickly. No lease agreement? No. Good, that gives you control. He folded his hands. Mrs. Ellington, you are the legal owner of that house. You do not owe anyone the right to occupy it, not even your children. I nodded once. He continued. You also have the right to remove them, lawfully and immediately, through eviction. You have the right to secure your estate through an irrevocable trust, and you have the right to decide who receives what after your death. I looked straight at him. How soon can this process start? He didn't hesitate. Immediately. Do it. He smiled slightly, the kind of smile that belonged to a man who has seen too many parents bullied by entitled adult children. I'll draft the 30-day eviction notices today, he said. You'll serve them yourself. It's cleaner that way. I nodded. Then he slid a thick folder toward me. These are the initial documents for your trust. Your home, your accounts, and any significant assets will be placed into it. You'll control everything while you're alive. After you pass, distribution follows your instructions. It's airtight. Airtight is what I need. Then you'll have it. I looked around the room. The shelves of law books, the certificates, the sharp smell of fresh paper. This is not revenge, I said. No, Martin replied. This is protection. He lifted his pen. Let's go over the details. For the next 20 minutes, everything moved fast. He asked questions. I answered clearly. Primary residence? Charleston waterfront, deeded solely to me. Accounts? Listed here. I handed him a printout. Beneficiaries? My grandson, Liam. He raised an eyebrow. Not your daughters? I shook my head. They need a lesson more than they need a gift. He jotted it down without comment. When he finished writing, he placed the documents neatly in front of me. "Mrs. Ellington, this is the line between chaos and order. Once you sign these, everything changes." "Good," I said, "because everything needs to." He handed me the first stack. "Eviction begins with this signature." I read it, every word, then signed. Martin nodded. "And now the trust draft. Initial approval only. We'll finalize after asset verification." I took the pen again. My signature was steady. When it was done, he leaned back in his chair. "You've just reclaimed your life," he said. I breathed once, slow, controlled, not relief, recognition. This was the moment the story shifted. "Mrs. Ellington, I'll courier the final copies to your home tomorrow. Expect a call when the eviction letters are ready, likely by noon." "I'll be waiting." He stood to shake my hand. His grip was firm, confident. "People underestimate quiet strength," he said. "They won't anymore." I walked to the door. Before leaving, I turned back. "Martin," I said, "my daughters won't take this well." He nodded. "Families rarely do when the free ride ends." I didn't smile, but something in me settled, like a lock sliding into place. As I stepped out into the cold hallway, the truth was simple. I wasn't the woman they could manipulate anymore. I wasn't the mother they assumed would bend forever. I was the owner of my house, my choices, my peace. Tomorrow, they would learn that. The envelopes arrived at noon. Thick paper, legal seal, Martin's signature stamped clean across the top. I set them on the dining table, looked at them for a full minute, not with doubt, with clarity. This was overdue. Clara and Ethan were in the living room, TV loud enough to shake the walls, empty soda cans everywhere, their shoes on my coffee table. I picked up the envelopes, walked straight into the room. Clara looked up. "Mom, what's that?" I handed one to her, one to Ethan. "Read it." Ethan smirked. "What is this, a bill?" He opened it. The smirk vanished. Clara's face went pale. She covered her mouth. "Mom, no, you can't do this." "I can, and I did." She stood up, shaking. 30 days? You're giving us 30 days to leave?" "That's correct." Ethan threw his envelope onto the couch. "This is insane. You can't just kick your own daughter out. We're family." "No. Family contributes. Family respects. You've done neither." Clara gasped like I'd hit her. "Mom, please. We're trying. You know we're trying." "You've tried for 4 years," I said. "Without effort. Without accountability." Clara stepped closer. "Where will we go? We don't have money saved." "That is not my responsibility." Ethan scoffed. "Wow, so this is who you are now?" "Yes, a woman who finally set a boundary." Clara's voice cracked. "This is cruel." "No, cruelty is using someone's kindness like a paycheck." She stared at me, stunned. "I trusted you," I said quietly. "And you treated my home like a service you were entitled to." Ethan crossed his arms. "Fine, we'll fight it." "You won't win," I said calmly. "You have no lease, no rights, and no legal standing." His jaw clenched. "Everyone will hear about this." "That's fine. Tell them the truth." Clara collapsed onto the couch. "I can't believe you're doing this." I lowered my voice. "Clara, I heard your call with Natalie. I heard the plan, the timelines, the manipulation. You weren't victims. You were strategizing." Her eyes widened. "Mom, don't lie. Not now." Clara started crying, loud, dramatic. Ethan wrapped an arm around her, glaring at me like I'd destroyed his life. Maybe I had. Maybe that was the problem. "Mom, can we talk privately?" Clara whispered. "No. Anything you say to me now, you can say with him here. Because both of you created this." She wiped her eyes with her sleeve. "I didn't mean to hurt you. You meant to benefit from me. At any cost." She looked down. Ethan kicked the coffee table. "This is ridiculous. You're going to regret this when you're old and alone." I didn't even blink. "I'd rather be alone than disrespected." Silence. Sharp. Heavy. Clara whispered again, desperate now. Please, give us more time. You have 30 days, I said. Use them well. She reached out as if grabbing the air between us. Mom, please. I stepped back. No more begging, no more guilt. Pack your things. Ethan paced like an angry teenager. We'll see about this. You think you won? This isn't over. It is, I said. You just don't know it yet. He stormed toward the hallway. Clara followed him halfway, then turned back to me. Why, Mom? Why today? Because today I stopped convincing myself that you would change. Her shoulders fell. Completely. I walked to the door, put my hand on the knob, looked at both of them one last time. Learn responsibility. It's overdue. Then I closed the door behind me. The click echoed through the house. Not loud, but final. On the other side, their voices rose. Anger, shock, fear. None of it moved me. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a cup of tea. For the first time in a long time, the house felt honest. 3 days after the eviction notice, Natalie invited me to dinner. Her text came at 10:14 a.m. Dinner tonight. Just us. We need to talk. No greeting, no question. A command dressed as concern. I typed one word. Fine. Her home sat on the west side of Charleston. White brick, expensive renovations, everything curated to project stability. I parked outside, walked up the steps, rang the bell once. Natalie opened the door immediately, like she'd been waiting behind it. Mother? She kissed my cheek. Too warm, too rehearsed. Come in. Darren appeared behind her, smiling like he was welcoming a client. Nora, good to see you. It's been busy. Dinner was already set. Candles lit, wine poured, the table too perfect. A performance before the first word. Sit, Mother, Natalie said softly. We just want a calm conversation. I sat, slowly. Then say what you need to say. Natalie folded her hands. We're worried about you. Darren nodded. There's been tension lately, decisions made too quickly. I looked at both of them. Such as? Natalie leaned forward. Evicting Clara. That was extreme. She had 4 years to become responsible, I said. She didn't. Natalie forced a small laugh. You make everything sound so simple. I didn't answer. She cleared her throat. We think all of this is coming from stress. Maybe grief, maybe loneliness. You're handling too much alone. Is that what you think? I asked. It's what the family thinks, she replied. I lifted my glass. You mean you and Darren? Darren smiled, tight, polite, calculated. We want what's best for you, Nora. Truly. I watched him for 5 seconds, then said, Good. Then let's speak clearly. Natalie blinked. Of course. What do you want? Her smile faltered just slightly. We want to help you manage the house, the bills, the upkeep. Manage, I repeated. Darren jumped in. The market is strong right now. If you sold the Charleston mansion, you'd get a great price, enough to downsize comfortably and help the family at the same time. There it was, the real reason. Not concern, not care. Money. How much are you asking for? Natalie straightened. We're not asking. We're suggesting a plan that benefits everyone. Everyone? I echoed. Yes. You'd be safer in a smaller home. Less work, less responsibility. And the proceeds from selling the mansion could support all of us, Clara included. So, I said, you want me to sell my home and redistribute the money? She flinched. Mother, you make it sound ugly. It is ugly. Darren set his fork down gently, as if placating a child. Nora, think logically. This house is too big for you. It's time to think long-term. I do think long-term, I said. That's why I protect what I own. Natalie's jaw tightened. You're being stubborn. No, I'm being clear. Her tone shifted, silky, manipulative. You raised us to support each other. Why stop now? Why push us away? Because you stopped supporting me years ago, I said. You replaced respect with expectation. Natalie inhaled sharply, offended, not surprised. Mother, this isn't a fight. This is a family meeting. No, I said. This is a business meeting, and I'm the only person here not pretending otherwise. Darren stiffened. Natalie's cheeks flushed. She tried again. Mother, please, you're overreacting. I set my napkin beside my plate. Tell me the real number, I said. How much did you want me to hand over? Natalie's voice thinned. 40,000, to start. I took a sip of water. The same number you demanded before Christmas. Her eyes widened. That wasn't... Mother, that was different. No, it wasn't. Darren leaned forward. Look, we're trying to fix this. You've changed. You're colder. You're pushing everyone away. I'm pushing manipulation away, I said. Not people. Silence. Natalie tried one last time. We're offering to help you, to guide you. You shouldn't make these big decisions alone. I met her eyes. I already made the decision. What decision? She whispered. I'm not signing anything you bring. I'm not selling my home. And I'm not financing your life. Her face dropped. Darren's jaw tightened. The performance cracked. Mother, she said, voice trembling with anger disguised as pain. No, I said quietly. Stop. You don't get to dress greed in love and call it family. Natalie's expression hardened. So, this is it? You're cutting us out? I'm setting a boundary. You've lived without one for too long. Shel, she stood up abruptly. I can't believe you're doing this. I rose too. Believe it. I walked toward the door. Behind me, Darren hissed under his breath. She's ruining everything. I paused, turned. No, Darren. I'm stopping what you started. They didn't speak again. I stepped outside. Cold air hit my face, sharp, clean. This dinner wasn't reconciliation. It wasn't concern. It was a trap. And now I knew exactly how far they were willing to go. I didn't sleep after that dinner. Not a minute. I sat at my kitchen table with the lights off, watching the reflection of the Charleston River through the window. The house was quiet, but my mind wasn't. Natalie's voice replayed in my head. 40,000 to start. Selling the house benefits everyone. You shouldn't make decisions alone. They weren't helping. They were circling. At 12:47 a.m., I picked up my phone and called the only person who understood urgency without drama. Martin, can we finalize the trust tonight? There was no hesitation on his end. It'll take hours, Mrs. Ellington. Then start now. I'll be there in 20 minutes. I grabbed the folder containing every document he'd given me, put on my coat, locked the door behind me. The night air was cold, heavy, honest. A good night for a line to be drawn. Martin's office lights were on when I arrived. He was standing at the window, coat still on, files in his hands. You made up your mind, he said. I made up my mind months ago, I replied. I'm just acting on it now. He walked to the conference table. Stacks of forms were spread out in perfect rows. Sign here, initial here, date here. He pulled a chair out for me. Let's begin. I sat. He handed me the first document. This transfers ownership of the Charleston mansion to the irrevocable trust. I read it. Every line. Signed. The second document. This removes both daughters from your bank beneficiary list. Signed. The third. This protects your accounts from any future contest. Initialed. The fourth. This gives your grandson Liam legal priority after your lifetime. My pen didn't even pause. Signed. Martin glanced at me. You're certain? Yes, I said. I'm done confusing guilt with love. He continued. For 45 minutes, the room filled with the sound of signatures, paper sliding, pens clicking, a legal heartbeat. No emotion, just clarity. When the last form was done, Martin organized the pages into a thick stack. This is it, he said. Your trust is complete, effective as of 1:52 a.m. I sat back, not relieved. Just steady." "They can fight," I said quietly, "but they can't win." "No," Martin replied. "They can't." He placed a stamp on the final page, pressed down firmly. The sound was final, permanent. "You understand what this means, Mrs. Ellington," he said. "Your daughters are going to be furious." "I know. They'll accuse you of betrayal." "I expect it." "They may try to come after you emotionally." I looked at him. "Martin, I've spent years watching them treat my life like an ATM. This isn't betrayal. It's correction." He nodded once. "Then you're ready." I closed the folder, stood. When he walked me to the door, he paused before opening it. "Most parents don't do this," he said. "Most let the abuse continue. You didn't. It wasn't motherhood. It was survival." He gave me a small, rare smile. "Take back your house. Take back your peace." The drive home was silent. Charleston slept. Street lights cast long white lines across the windshield. For the first time in years, I felt like the future belonged to me, not to their plans. I parked, turned off the engine, and sat there for a moment with my hands on the wheel. Inside the house, the air smelled like pine and cold tea. The Christmas tree lights flickered faintly. I walked to the kitchen, set the folder on the table, poured myself a glass of water. I didn't toast, didn't smile. This wasn't victory. This was balance. I picked up the trust document again. Read the first sentence. "This instrument establishes the Ellington Irrevocable Trust." Yes, this was the line. I put the papers away and headed toward the staircase. Halfway up, I heard a notification from my phone, a text from Natalie. "Mother, about last night. Let's talk. We're family. Don't make rash decisions." I stared at it, then deleted it. Another came immediately. "You scared me. I think you're overwhelmed. We can fix this together." Delete. A third. "Are you awake? Darren and I want to stop by tomorrow. We can help you sort everything out." I put the phone face down. No more sorting, no more negotiating, no more letting fear dictate the next step. I climbed the stairs and walked into my bedroom. The house was still, calm. But in the morning, they would try again. They would push. They would demand. And they would learn the truth. The house wasn't theirs. The future wasn't theirs. My life wasn't theirs. Not anymore. I turned off the lamp. Tomorrow would be judgment. But tonight, for the first time in a long time, I slept easily. I woke up before sunrise. Not from worry, from certainty. Today was the day I stopped letting the lies breathe. I set the table myself. 5 plates, 5 glasses, 5 seats. The good china. Not for honor, for clarity. In the center, I placed the red envelope and my laptop. Both closed. Both waiting. And at 6 p.m. The doorbell rang. Natalie and Darren arrived first. She walked in like she owned the place. He followed like he managed it. "Mother," Natalie said, "let's try to keep tonight civil." "That depends on you," I said. Minutes later, Clara and Ethan came through the door. Clara had dressed carefully, hair curled, eyes still swollen from the week of crying. Ethan stood behind her, stiff, defensive. They saw the table. No one spoke. We sat. The clinking of silverware was the only sound for the first 3 minutes. Then Natalie exhaled loudly and took control. "Mother, this week has been chaotic, emotions high, words said that shouldn't have been said." Her eyes flicked to Clara, then back to me. "We want to fix this." "No," I said. "You want to win." They froze. Natalie forced a smile. "Mother, please, we're trying." I pushed my chair back slightly. "Then listen." I opened the laptop, turned the screen toward them. The first photo appeared. Darren, his hands on the red-haired woman. Timestamp clear. 2 hours before Christmas Eve dinner. Natalie's face dropped. Clara gasped. Ethan muttered under his breath, "Damn." Darren went pale. "Nora, where did you—" I raised a hand. "Don't lie. Not tonight." Natalie shot up from her chair. "What is this? Why do you have these pictures?" Because someone with a conscience gave them to me. She stared at the screen, jaw locked, eyes shaking. You've been spying on us. No, I said calmly. I've been paying attention. Darren swallowed loudly. This isn't what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like, I said. And the metadata confirms it. Natalie snapped. Stop acting like some investigator. You're making this worse. Worse than your husband cheating on Christmas Eve? I asked. Or worse than you hiding it? Her eyes narrowed. You think I knew? I know you knew, I said. Clara told me everything. Clara froze. Mom, I didn't. I heard the call, I said. I heard every word. Natalie turned to her sister, furious. You told her? Are you insane? Clara shook her head wildly. I didn't! She overheard. Natalie, please! Ethan slammed his palm on the table. This is a joke. A family shouldn't talk like this. I turned to him. You lost the right to comment on this family when you turned my living room into your retirement plan. He shut his mouth. Natalie pointed at me. Mother, you're tearing the family apart. I stood up. Finally. No, I said. I'm exposing what you built. I reached for the folder beside the laptop, pulled out the printed copy of the trust summary. I finalized the irrevocable trust last night. Natalie blinked. You what? Darren leaned forward. What does that even mean? It means, I said, setting the folder on the table, every asset I own is legally protected from both of you. Natalie grabbed the papers, scanning quickly, her face crumpled. Mother, no, you didn't do this. I did, Clara whispered. Mom, please, we're your daughters. And I gave you years, I said. You used every minute. Natalie threw the papers onto the table. So we get nothing after everything we've done for you? Done for me? I asked calmly. Show me one thing. She opened her mouth, closed it. I turned to Clara. You have 16 days left in this house. Pack responsibly. Clara began to cry, real tears this time. Mom, I'm sorry. I really am. I believe you're sorry, I said. But sorry doesn't undo intent. Ethan shoved his chair back. This is crazy. We're not leaving. Yes, I said quietly. You are. He pointed at me sharply. You think a piece of paper scares me? No, I said. But the sheriff enforcing it will. He froze. Natalie shook her head, pacing. You're making a mistake. You need us. I needed honesty, I said. You gave me strategy. The room went silent. Finally, Darren spoke. This isn't justice. No, I said. This is protection. Natalie's eyes filled with rage. Mother, if you walk away from us tonight, we're done. All of us. I met her stare. I'm not walking away. I'm closing the door you kept forcing open. Clara sobbed. Ethan muttered curses. Darren stared at the floor. And Natalie... She finally showed her real face. Cold, calculating, furious. You'll regret this, she said. No, I said. I'll sleep tonight. She grabbed her purse. We're leaving. They all stood, shaking, angry, exposed, and walked out without another word. The door shut behind them with a heavy thud. For the first time in years, the house was silent. Not empty, just honest. I closed the laptop, collected the papers, turned off the dining room light. Judgment wasn't loud. Judgment wasn't violent. Judgment was a mother finally telling the truth out loud and refusing to apologize for it. A week passed after the dinner. No calls, no demands, no footsteps shaking the floor. The house felt different, not lonely, just honest. I woke early, 6:15 a.m., made tea with my silver cup, opened the curtains, and let the morning light settle on the walls. The Charleston mansion wasn't loud anymore. It breathed. At 7:03, I heard small footsteps in the hallway. Liam. He peeked in with his backpack still on. Grandma, are you awake? I am, I said. Come in. He climbed onto the chair beside me. His face was calm in a way children rarely are, like he knew more than he should. "Mom said you're mad at everyone." "I'm not mad," I said. "I'm clear." He nodded, as if that made perfect sense. Kids understand truth better than adults. "Will we put up the tree next year?" he asked. His voice was soft, careful. "Yes," I said, "but only good people will sit under it." He smiled, small but genuine. "Okay." We sat quietly for a moment. The house held the kind of silence that didn't need to be filled. "Grandma?" he whispered. "Yes?" "You're not leaving me, right?" I turned to him fully. "No, I'm not leaving you. I'm just leaving the noise." He nodded again. Then he leaned his head on my arm, and for the first time in weeks, something in my chest eased. After I walked him to the doorstep to meet the school bus, I came back inside, refilled my tea, and sat at the kitchen table. My phone rang. Madeline, the woman who'd started all of this without knowing she was rescuing me. I answered. "Madeline," she exhaled, relieved. "Nora, I just want to check on you. I've been thinking about you since Christmas photos. I hope I didn't cause trouble." "No," I said. "You told me the truth, before anyone else had the courage to." She was quiet. Then, "You sound lighter." "I am." She hesitated. "I'm glad. You deserved peace, Nora. I mean that." I looked around my kitchen. Everything was where I put it. Every sound belonged to the house, not to chaos. "You helped me more than you know," I said. "You helped yourself," she replied. Her voice steadied, soft but sure. "If you ever need anything, or even just want company, call me." "I will," I said. "And Madeline?" "Yes?" "You saved me from silence." I heard her breathe in. "Then it was worth it." When we hung up, I set the phone next to my teacup. The two objects that had begun and ended the story. One call that shattered the lie, one call that closed its door. The morning light stretched across the kitchen floor. The house wasn't empty. It was recovering. I walked through each room slowly. The living room looked bigger without Ethan's mess. The hallway sounded clearer without Clara's constant steps. The guest room felt lighter without boxes that never belonged to them. Every corner held space again. My space. At the front door, I paused. 16 days until the sheriff would finalize Clara's move-out. But emotionally, she'd already left. They all had. I didn't feel triumph, just peace. True, quiet peace. I returned to the dining table, opened the trust folder, heavy, neat, protected. Every page represented a boundary I should have set years ago. My phone buzzed once, a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Natalie." I placed the phone face down. I wasn't cruel, but I wasn't bending. Liam deserved better. And I finally understood that loving my grandson didn't mean sacrificing myself. The tea had cooled. I poured a fresh cup. Another buzz, another text. This time from Madeline. "Sunrise looks beautiful today." I smiled, just a little. I walked to the window and answered, "It does." Then I set the phone aside, picked up my cup, and breathed in the warm air. Justice wasn't revenge. It wasn't victory. It wasn't destroying something. Justice was protection. It was truth spoken aloud. It was boundaries drawn with a steady hand. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt protected too. The house was quiet. The morning was bright. And the next chapter wasn't written for anyone else. It was written for me. Thank you for staying with me until the end of this story. If you're still here, it means the truth mattered to you as much as it mattered to me. And I'm grateful for that. Life has a way of testing our boundaries, especially with the people we love. But peace, real peace, only begins when we decide to protect ourselves with honesty and respect. That's what this journey was about. Not revenge, not punishment, just clarity. If this story touched you or reminded you of your own strength, I hope you'll stay with this channel. Your support helps these stories reach others who may need the same reminder. You're allowed to choose peace. you're allowed to choose yourself. If you'd like to hear more true-to-life stories like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter. And if you want to share your thoughts or your own experience, the comments are always open. I read every single one. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. And thank you for letting me tell this story. I'll see you in the next video, right here on Grandma Life Stories.